Hello, my name is Aiden. I am 20 years old. I've been creating most things out of my mind, whatever comes, whether it be paintings, music, art, pottery, you name it, anything creative that would go into my head, I would bring out into real life. Whenever I have an idea in my head, I gotta make sure that I try my best to at least create it. Because as an artist, I love creating things. And I've been creating things since I was I would say 5 years old. So I've been doing it for about 15 years. And I love, sharing my experience of using art as a form of communication, bringing your emotions, bringing those ideas or those feelings inside of you and putting it onto a canvas. Now, every painting in this room, if you look around the room right now, every single painting has a story. I feel that a painting is not a painting without a story. Again, just for me, I love it when I have a story related to it, whether that be inspiration from nature, an experience that I had, or maybe just something that I saw that really inspired me. So what do you think about this painting? I think that this is a beautiful painting. And if you look really closely and you love nature, I bet you could see that the top is mushrooms. But we're not going to get into that just yet. I want to talk to you about the stuff that most people don't tell you about mushrooms. The underneath, the underground, the network called mycelium. And you can kind of see it down here. So mycelium is a network of kind of these tiny, tiny roots of a tree, but way smaller. And with those beautiful mycelium roots, they create resources for the trees, and the trees provide the energy that they obtain to the mushrooms. So it's a symbiosis. They work together in harmony. This mycelium is so amazing that it can absorb toxic chemicals. It is being used as threads, like an alternative to leather, guys. That's how powerful mycelium is. It could be used as an alternative to silk and leather. So it could be used as clothing and shoes. If you guys ever have the time, I recommend looking up these mycelium shoes. They're really, really popular. And it's just amazing to see that a shoe is made using mycelium. That's right. Mycelium are so important. It's a network, a community in a sense. So that got me thinking, is a community very important to have a healthy environment? And it got me thinking, I'm like, if mycelium's not there, the mushrooms aren't going to flourish. So if we don't have a community in our group, a mycelium network, a network of people that we can trust and we can respect and we can talk to, it's not going to be a good environment. So it got me thinking, do we need a community? And this is where we're going to be discussing about the importance of community and why it's so related to these amazing mushrooms. Zoe!
Aiden.
I will say, we have known each other for quite a long time. I don't know, how many years has it been?
About 6 years.
Yeah, that would be like 2018 or 2017, I would say. I know that you are a swimmer and you love photography. How long have you been swimming?
23 years.
My goodness, that is a long time.
I love swimming for the exercise and to gain some friendships.
I definitely
across
have.
the world.
Yeah, and I mean, technically we have that friendship started just because of swimming. It's really important that we form those connections, doing stuff together. What was school like for you? Was it easy? Was it hard? What was your experience?
It was a roller coaster. I had ups and downs, but it wasn't really until high school I gained my true friendships that I still have to date. And I was bullied a lot in elementary school.
For me, it was actually kind of hard to deal with it because I feel like there was no connection. And when you're in an environment where there's no connection, you can't really connect. You need to have a network. You know what that reminds me of? That kind of reminds me of mushrooms.
Mushrooms? Why mushrooms?
Now, the reason why I say mushrooms is because if we really think about it, 1,000 variations of mushrooms. Sometimes they have different tastes. Sometimes they're edible. Sometimes they're deadly to humans. But you know what? It's always because mushrooms are very diverse, just like us as humans. We are all unique, and you need to really research about that mushroom to understand what that mushroom's about. Is it good for you? Is it not good for you? I'm not saying that we are mushrooms, but it's important that we learn about a person to understand them a little bit better. Because if we just assume, hey, that mushroom is great to eat, and we eat it, and we don't research about it, and we don't learn about it, you know what? We might be in a little bit of trouble. So it's always important that we learn about a person before we judge, before that we understand that, but not just for the top. Underneath, when I was talking about those networks, so one mushroom may be connected to hundreds and hundreds of feet of tendrils that go into the ground and take the nutrients to grow and to kind of make more mushrooms. And mushrooms, in that sense, you need to have that network. Mushrooms obviously can grow on their own, but they grow very, very slowly and thrive in an environment where it is best suited for their growth. So when we have an environment that is good for the mushroom, and we have a network that is positive and not unhealthy, then the mushroom will flourish. And you could say that for humans in a sense, that when we have an environment where that person feels comfortable, they are then ready to grow.
That's an awesome idea.
Oh, hey guys. I see you have met Zoe. You know what? Zoe is awesome. I gotta say, you know, she is part of one of the biggest organizations in the world, which is Special Olympics. And for those who don't know, Special Olympics is an organization that allows people with intellectual and physical disabilities to participate in sports such as basketball, skiing, swimming, all the regular sports that are part of the Olympic Games. And it is also being used around the globe. So they have regionals, nationals, and even world games, almost exactly like the Olympic Games. And she is an athlete, but more importantly, she is a world athlete for skiing. And imagine traveling the world to participate in being for Team Canada for skiing. That is truly outstanding. You know, I really got to think about it because I want to say that with Special Olympics, as much as it may be like a place just to do sports, it's also a huge part of her life because she loves her team. She loves the people that she has met there, And you got to think about it as if it was like another community to her. Many people can have different types of communities. And Special Olympics is one of those key factors for a lot of people. I love Special Olympics, and obviously for Zoe, it is a huge part of her life. Practice almost every single week, so it allows them to connect with people, make connections, find friends, and make it feel like they are a community. Just like the mycelium network in a way. And if we really look at this tree here, maybe we could say, maybe, that even though that there's a foundation, a tree, the foundation of a tree, there are still mushrooms that grow off of that foundation. Because sometimes a foundation is needed for something else to grow on it. Something new, something fresh. And that's an interesting idea to think about.
So do you want me to say my name or just...
Absolutely. Just tell, like, I feel that we need to understand, like, you know, more, who is this amazing person that is sitting right across from me? What is your name? We should ask that first.
My name is Jeffrey.
All right. So if I remember correctly, I remember that your story started off with something about having a genetic problem with your body. Can you explain a little bit more about what that meant?
So I was born with a rare metabolic disorder, so I was fed through a G-tube, and so it really affected my learning. So I had ERWs coming in, helping me, and then in 2013 I had a liver and kidney transplant. So that really all helped me become, you know, where I am now.
So did music help you through that experience? Because I remember you saying how music is, while you were in the hospital, I heard that when music was playing, it really gave you hope. It really gave you the motivation to push forward. Would you say that it really helped you?
It did help. It did help me, you know, because I was nervous about what I was going through, and then music really helped me calm down. Like, yeah, and then I just went through it.
Nice. You know what? That's really brave of you, Jeff. Especially since, if I'm thinking about it, if I had to be in there for such a long time, in and out, how long were you in the hospital?
14 years.
Yeah, that requires a lot of patience and a lot of bravery, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
But having a strong spirit, I can see you now as you're sitting here right beside me at this very moment, and I can see somebody who has a bright future, because I don't know, I feel like nothing stops you from doing what you want to do. You went through your adventure, your story, and you slowly kind of, you know, got into that love of music, but also kind of, you know, processed what was happening. And actually, if I look behind you, I can see your guitar. So you bring your musical instruments wherever you go, right?
Yes, I do. Yeah.
Have you done any performances before?
Yes, I have done.
Can you maybe list one? I really want to know.
I did a performance recently last week, and at a dance, and everybody and I was playing original songs that I had, and everybody was just having such a good time and dancing. They loved it. Thank you very much. Thank you.
So when you perform, does it make you feel good? Does it make you feel like you're proud of who you are?
It does. It makes me feel really, really proud.
Amazing to hear that doing the things that you love makes you happy. But I feel like people need to understand that, like, if you're not enjoying what you're doing, then you got to figure out that thing and find that thing that makes you feel happy. Because once you find it, you're able to understand yourself, and you're being able to kind of just, like, you know, process everything a little bit better, understand your emotions more. So talking about happy, I feel that another reason why you had that little bit of that performance is because you had a community that you could share your passion of music to. An environment where everybody felt like they belonged, right?
Yeah, that's important.
Absolutely. And just finding that environment where you feel safe, feel like you are comfortable enough to share what you love doing is very important in improving.
Everything's coming together.
Yes, absolutely. And just having that environment, that space where you feel calm is very important. Because if we had to say it, the better our community is, the stronger our roots are, just like a mushroom. It's very important that we have it, because once we do, that way we know, hey, that's a place where I can feel safe, and then maybe other mushrooms can join in our community, in our mycelium.
Yes.
Jelly roll, one step forward, two steps back. Roll your hips side to side, don't hide the slide.
Came back from Jeff. I see. You know what? I love Jeff. Me and him we call each other, working partners, best buds. And with Jeffrey, you can see that this time music is his focus. Music is what is his most biggest inspiration. It's what allows him to spread his inspiration to others. And everybody has their own way of expressing themselves. And his way is through the power of music. And if you know with painting is my way of expressing how I feel. And music is one of the most greatest ways of expressing a certain emotion, because every single instrument that you can use, the tune you use, the type of beat that you get, really defines how the song is going to be sounding. But what's more important is the way that the song is written, or maybe even if it's sang. Like sometimes if you think of some songs, like let's say the YMCA is talking about how awesome the YMCA is, and it's just so upbeat, you get so excited. And I want to say that I got a painting that kind of reminds me of Jeff. This painting is all about flowers and bees. And with bees carry pollen from one plant, or from one flower to another. And that causes both plants to be well pollinated and allows them to bloom. Especially allows specific plants, like for example, fruits, to create their delicious, like strawberries. The white flowers turn into a bright red, delicious fruit. That's awesome. But what's interesting is that Jeff is like a bee. His inspiration, his music, he will share his love of music to others. And even though he has gone through so much, he still pushed forward because he found something that allowed him to keep moving on. His music was his inspiration, and he is bringing that pollen, that inspiration, that music, and inspiring others to bloom, and inspiring others to continue onward. And it's mind-blowing to think about, because everybody has their own way of dealing with things, their own ways of being inspired, their own ways of creating. And it's just amazing how everybody has their own way of finding their communities. All right, next up we have our special guest, Sammy. Okay, so Sammy, quick. How old are you? Okay. So, you know what, as she's typing, I remember that I heard that Sammy has apraxia.
I am 28
Oh,
years old.
you're 28. That is very good to know. Of Sammy having autism, Oh, happy? Yeah, you're happy. That's awesome to hear. You know what? She's a happy person. You think that you're like a mushroom?
Yes.
See, Sammy gets how we're
Yes.
talking about it.
Yes.
Nice. And you love sports, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so she loves everything. Oh, do you have anything else that you would want to share? Anything that you love? Are you ready, Sammy, to say it? Oh wait, she's typing. typing it. That's awesome.
Picky. Picky. But I think she thinks you're
It's great. Yeah. Say it. Yeah.
I love to pick the mushrooms.
She likes to pick the mushrooms.
Yes.
That's awesome. Okay. So let's hear a little bit more.
I like to help with the community garden. My business is called Sammy Seeds.
Seeds. Sammy Seeds. Is your last name start with a C?
Yes.
Sammy Seeds. That is and you came up with that idea, that name all by yourself, right?
Yes.
That is absolutely amazing.
Yes.
So let's see this. Oh my goodness, yeah, if we look at the name right here, it says Marigold Seeds from the Garden of Sammy Seeds. Obviously, Sammy's last name is not Seeds, but I think that it's a great play on words.
I'm happy.
And not only that, but I have seen Sammy has created this little board. So whenever she's going to sell her seeds, she brings this photo wherever she's going to sell her seeds as like a little what is it called? Like a banner, like to show off, hey, this is the garden that I created the seeds. And Sammy, is that you right there in that photo?
Yeah.
That is some very tall sunflowers. Huh? That's you?
Yes.
That is you.
Yes.
Yeah, I actually like this. It's really good. Oh my gosh.
Cookie.
Cooking class.
So you will love art and cooking class. Those are your favorite things?
Yeah.
Okay. She loves gardening, she loves art, she loves cooking class, she loves sports, swimming. Oh my gosh, there's so many things. But her favorite things are art and cooking to see.
Happy.
Happy, yeah! Oh, hey guys. So you have met the third member of my crew. And somebody that has such a huge voice in the way that she loves to express herself with. Now, before we get into that, I just want to quickly say, my way of expressing how I feel is through art. Jeffrey's way of inspiring others and to express himself is through music. Zoe, her dedication to the sport. And Sammy, her dedication to nature. So, with that, you got to really think about how there are so many different ways of communication. But Sammy's way of communication is always so interesting to me because I remember she once took us to, we had this garden. We had this community garden in the summer. And this community garden, kind of had some simple plants here and there, but she once brought some sunflower seeds. And I always thought to myself, sunflowers are very beautiful plants. But she explained to us how important sunflowers are in the fact of pollination and how you can reuse a sunflower from the beginning of its cycle to the very end. And I remember being so inspired, so amazed by seeing the way that she would plant the seed. And every single day she would plant, she would water, she would take the weeds out, and we saw it grow and grow and grow and grow, and it grew over 2 times the height of me. That is a massive sunflower, over 12 feet. Now, sunflowers are beautiful. And I remember it started off so tiny and started growing so fast. And Sammy showed me the importance of nature and how her community might not be as big as Zoe's Special Olympics or big as our community that we have built ourselves, but she showed the importance of finding those green thumbs, the people that love nature, the people that want to share their love of plants. And I am one of those people. I joined her community, and it's just so amazing that she had such a strong voice. And a lot of people say, there's only one form of communication. And This doesn't make any sense at all. There are so many forms of communication, and you know what? Sammy really showed me how important it is to remember that everybody has their own way of communicating, and we should never underestimate people. All right, so next up we have Puneet. Hello, Puneet. How are you?
Good.
What makes you happy? I should ask that first.
Friends.
Friends.
Sushi. And people.
And people. Okay, that's such a great one.
And horseback riding too.
Okay, horseback riding too. I love it.
And wrestling.
Wrestling? Like doing wrestling or watching wrestling? Okay, phew. I thought you were going to say doing wrestling. Oh my goodness. So, how old are you?
25 years old.
Okay. Do you have a business?
Yes, Sweet Creation X1.
Sweet Creations, you said?
Yes.
Okay.
I make bracelets.
Can you show some of them off? Oh, these are some really pretty bracelets you got here.
Yes.
And you made these all by yourself?
Yes.
That's incredible. So, I heard that before you started your business, there was not a lot of places that you could find a proper job where you got paid as an employee, right? What was the last business that you were part of? Were you part of many different types? I think I heard that you were part of a pizza place.
That was not fun.
Oh, and a coffee shop.
Not funny.
And a dollar store and a restaurant.
No.
There were so many. Now, were you treated equally compared to your other employees? Were you treated? Okay, so you weren't treated properly.
And the money paid.
Okay, so you weren't. What happened with the money?
No free money.
So you weren't being paid.
No.
Okay, so you were working there and you weren't being paid. Oh, it was actually very important that you started your own business. That way you are actually getting paid for the work that you are being. When you were being treated differently, how did it make you feel?
That is upsetting.
Yeah, it made you upset, right? That makes sense. So we really need to change the way that we employ people. Not only the way that we need to employ, but we need to learn the different ways of training those employees. Because everybody has their own way of learning, of understanding, and even processing. Because, our community actually has a famous saying. It could take one try or even up to 1,000 tries for us to understand only one thing. And I feel like we need to be a bit more flexible minded. We all have our own unique way of learning. I know that I might take up to 50 or 60 times. Somebody might be up to 100 times. You never know, because we are all unique. We all learn differently, and we all have our own way of processing. It might take a bit longer, it might take shorter time, but it's important to remind ourselves that we want to make sure that it is an inclusive employment process that feels like that everybody is being trained at their own level. So, thank goodness that Puneet made a change. She decided that she was not going to have it any longer. She wanted to create a place where she was being treated equally and that she could run it by herself, right? Okay, now what was the biggest order that you have done? Could you tell me, what was the biggest order of bracelets?
45.
45 bracelets? Seriously? That's a lot of bracelets. And I'm assuming that the people really love your bracelets. They value your bracelets, Sweet right? Creations X1.
Yeah.
And she has an Instagram. So she has a social media. And you have an Instagram, right?
Yeah.
Now, what is your Instagram?
Sweet
so I know.
Creation X1.
The bracelets that she is selling, she's not giving them away. They're valuing her work. And she is having a successful business. She is a full-on business owner. And that really does show that, you know what? You can do whatever your mind is set on as long as you put in the effort. Now, Puneet, I know you have a nickname. Can you tell us your nickname real quick?
Sweet Puneet.
Your nickname is Sweet Puneet. I love that nickname because Puneet is really sweet. She has such a kind heart. And sometimes with that sweetness, people can't really determine when Puneet is actually upset. When she's being treated differently, she kind of just smiles through it. So it's sometimes really hard for her to express how she feels, right? So when you're upset, do you smile? Yeah, maybe sometimes?
No.
Okay. You're smiling right now. I can see that right there. But you know what? It's a little bit hard sometimes. But don't worry, because she always has people like myself, her family that will have her back no matter what, because Puneet should always be sweet, and we should never change that about her. So you have met Puneet, such an amazing member of our Mycelium network. And one of the most amazing things about Puneet is how sweet and kind she is. Similar to the painting here. You know, this painting is a beautiful garden with lots of green and black, but what's more important is to focus on those beautiful bright patches of pink. And you could see that with it, that pink really goes in contrast against the green. So your eyes are kind of going against the green of the leaves, the pink of the flowers. Maybe you might even notice the little bit of purple, or even the little spots of yellow that you might notice all around the painting. Puneet is very similar in the fact that she is such an innovative mind. But what if that color didn't happen? What happens if all that there was a dry wasteland? So I have created this painting to capture the essence of what could happen if we don't have that mycelium network. A place where there is no community, no place to belong. And I've been creating this one painting, and I think you might like it. It's supposed to capture that sense of what happens if there is an environment with no mycelium network. Nothing to grow on, nothing to kind of have as a base, a foundation. And this piece kind of captures that moment. You know, it looks like a barren landscape with purple kind of growing out, but also this weird desert-like mountains kind of rising from the ground. And you could see that there are some trees, but they're more barren husks of what used to be. Maybe they're a representation of a program that used to be there, now has been left behind, and all that's left is just the trunk of that tree, since it's not being funded or not being taken care of. And you could see that there's also trees. There are trees, but they're not colorful enough. They don't have life to them. They're only one shade. And it's supposed to capture this sense of what would happen if we had a place where there was nothing to grow on. I bet some of you guys have experienced this sense of emptiness, that, you know, when you're in a spot or in a place where you just don't feel like you belong. And you know, we've talked about Zoe's story, Jeffrey's story, Sammy's story, and even Puneet's story, but I never really have talked about myself. And I'll just do a quick introduction, which is like, hi, my name is Aiden. I'm 20 years old, and I was born with autism, ADHD, and anxiety. And this piece, I feel like, resonates with me a lot because I have experienced this sense of nothing there. There was no environment where I felt like, hey, I can rely on a community where I feel like I belong. It doesn't feel like, you know, I feel out of place or I feel like I just don't fit in. And I feel like the best way to give you an example here is that when I was in school, the environment for the school really did not feel like I could fit myself in properly. I was a mushroom in this barren landscape where I couldn't, where am I supposed to put myself where I feel like that I am being nurtured and I am still feeling like, you know, I can grow in this environment. It was a really tough time at school. It was a hard time for people to understand me because my emotions were all over the place. I was like an explosive volcano. You could not tell if I was going to be happy or angry or sad because my emotions were all over the place. And a lot of people didn't want to deal with that. And it was really hard trying to find an environment where I could feel like I belong. So I thought to myself, it can't be like this anymore. I think I need to take this into my own hands. I need to help out the hundreds of other mushrooms who feel like they don't belong and create an environment where they can belong. And that's where we come back to mushrooms. So I created this program called the Art from the Heart Initiative. And it allowed me to go back into the schools that originally I didn't really fit in. I went back to those schools and I taught my way of, being accepting, really just having an open mind, and to change the mindset of those who think that, we can only do things one way. There are many different ways of expressing yourself through the power of color, texture, design, shape. You can use all of these different types of styles to express how you feel. You can do naturescapes, self-portraits. You can use greens to express how you're feeling. Maybe if you're angry, you might use a red or an orange. Maybe if you're feeling a little bit calm, you can use a vibrant green. You can use emotion. You can use different types of paints, like for example, acrylic and oil pastels and watercolors. And you could use different types of paintbrushes, for example, like big paintbrushes, small paintbrushes. Maybe you want a round paintbrush to get a beautiful flower in your piece. There are so many ways of using art as a form of communication to express a feeling, a way of, maybe you want to capture a memory onto the canvas. You can do all of that just by using the materials of the painting world. I've taught over 5,200 kids, and just seeing how they have found their way of communication, really their way of growing. They're starting to grow their mycelium network. They're starting to discuss with each other, understand how they're feeling through their art. That is just amazing to see as a instructor, to see how, they're expressing themselves in a friendly and positive way. Let's take Zoe's sportsmanship and her dedication. Let's take that network and we combine it. Let's take Jeffrey's musical network, combine that as well. We'll also take Sammy's green thumb network and even Puneet's independent business owner network, combine that as well. And I'll take my artistic abstract art network and bring it into there. And when we form them all together, all that we're missing is your network.